I hope everyone's having an awesome day and happy Monday. Wow, we made it. I hope everyone is really able to just like enjoy this time and perfect. Okay. Whew. I think we're also live on YouTube, which I've been struggling to learn how to do. And so I'm excited about that. Adrian, our co-host, will be joining me momentarily, and a few housekeeping items before we get started. If you have a question, you can let us know in the Q&A window down at the bottom of your screen here. So you submitted your questions ahead of time, and we are so thankful for that because it gives us a lot of ammunition to kind of get started and, punch through. But if you have a question in live time that you'd like answered, put it in the Q&A windows, and you can also let other attendees vote up and down on if they have the same question, or we can reply to some questions there, which is exciting. And if you would like to tell us where you're from, put that in the chat window. And have it go to panelists and attendees. I always love knowing where people are from. I'm currently based in Austin, Texas, and it was a beautiful weekend in the 80s. And I couldn't be happier, except there is a little bit of cedar fever. And if you know what that is, you know what it is. If you don't, it's really hard to explain, but it's just like really bad allergies. I'm seeing some people with some regulars join. Hey, Tawanda, so glad you're here. Chris joining us from Arizona. That's awesome. It looks like Adrian's having a hard time joining. So I'm going to see if he can just come in as an attendee. And, Berkeley, California. Yes. Come in as an attendee. Oh, Louisville, Kentucky. Didn't you all have the Derby this weekend, or is that next weekend? Honestly, I don't know. That I probably should have known that before I said it out loud. Virginia Beach, Orlando, Florida. First Saturday in May. Who doesn't love a mint julep? Let's be honest. And that's awesome. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Oh, that's so good, you guys. Okay, Adrian, where are you? Adrian's here, but I'm going to rename you. Adrian, so glad you're here.
Hey, Crystal, good morning.
Good morning. I was just going through all the really fun places everyone's from. Orlando, Florida, Louisville, Kentucky, Tucson, Arizona. And Adrian, are you still in Pune?
Yep, absolutely. Still in Pune.
Okay. I didn't know if you went down to Goa like you said you were going to.
I did. That was for Easter. So it was, I think, the beginning of this month.
Oh, I gotcha. Cool. Well, I was just telling everyone that I finally figured out how to get us live streaming on YouTube, and I feel really satisfied about that.
I can see the relief, but we're actually online YouTube.
Yes, we're live on YouTube. And if anybody wonders why, I've spent like 3 office hours trying to get our YouTube streaming working, because X Day on May 11th is going to be streamed also live on YouTube. And so it was really important that I figured out how to get it to work. So, there's positives and negatives now. It's like, don't say anything embarrassing because we can't take it. It's not in a closed space.
You shouldn't have told me that at the beginning.
Now you're extra nervous.
I was about to turn my cam on, and I'm like, do I want this to be online?
Oh, come on. Well, I'm going to need you to share your screen. So make sure that, the bandwidth works for both, because even today I was like, my internet was like, you have a low connection. I was like, oh my gosh, no, I don't have time for this today.
I was scared because it started raining today in Pune. So I was like, maybe or maybe not, this might work. So I was like, just hope.
cross your fingers. I can't answer these questions without you. Okay, well, it looks like everyone's joined us for the day. And if you're joining us on YouTube, make sure you pop a question in the live chat, and we'll be keeping an eye out for that and try to answer it in live time too. So why don't I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And thanks for everyone for joining. If you weren't here at the very beginning, a couple housekeeping items are, I guess, introducing ourselves first. I'm Crystal Weiss. I'm the Director of Marketing at Question Pro, and I'm joined by Adrian Mendez, who is the head of our customer success team and an overall just like Question Pro. If you have see how I did it there? If you have any questions, we obviously have the questions you submitted ahead of time, which we're really thankful for, but you can put more questions in the Q&A window, just like Stephen has done, and we will answer those live. And if you like Stephen's questions, you can vote it up. So don't think that you have to, constantly submit the same question, but you can vote other questions up and down, just kind of like Reddit. And if you want to tell us where you're from, because I always love knowing that, drop it into the chat window. I'm currently based in Austin, Texas, and Adrian is in Pune, India. And we are really excited that you're here with us for our monthly office hours. So, Adrian, I know you were looking at the questions ahead of time. Where do you want to start?
I was, because I mean, it's supposed to be live. And now with YouTube, you can already see me stammering. I was trying to get like, oh, do I need to prepare for this? Do I need to keep a survey ready or something of that sort? So I was like just going through all of them. But I think let's just take it from the top and then move all the way down. If anything comes up that's relevant to what I'm answering, I've kept the Q&A open. So if there's anything relevant on the same lines of the topic that I'm talking about, we'll just address it. Perfect.
Okay, you guys. Well, Ivy wrote in and had a question about how do you survey a certain community? And she kind of left it open-ended. So I thought there were two ways we could approach it. We could talk about our audience, and you could talk about just best practices for finding the right audience in your network.
All right. Okay. So you want to go two ways. Let's do it. All right, so we'll take the audience way because that is more on Question Pro or whoever is going to be your panel provider at the moment at that point. If you are going to be doing audience in Question Pro, and I would highly recommend you do it because your survey structure is going to be on the systems. So if you're going to be launching a survey with a certain community, number one is keep your demographic or your target criteria absolutely clear. Now, what do I know a lot of people who come into research have real clean understanding of who they want, but there's some ambiguity always. Like, for example, let's say you approach the community and say that I want to do a survey in 10 states. Well, that's a good enough target. 10 states, yes, good. And I want to do a 50-50 in the gender population. Okay. And I want to do above 80 and below 40 kind of a mark, right? Now that's a simple enough kind of straightforward demographic, but do you want the states to be divided as per those demographics, or do you want the demographics to be divided as per the state? How do you want it? That part is usually kept open-ended, and when you start getting responses, so let's say Texas does a higher response rate than Ohio, right? Did you want that? Or were you looking at equal number of responses? Like, I want 50-50 representation from a certain age to a certain age, like 80 to 40 from each and every state. That is the kind of clear definitions that I'm talking about. We get a lot of requests which are just demographic in general, but then when we do a deep dive, we understand that the client actually wants representation from each and every sector that they've asked us. So number one is understand whether you need it or you don't need it. Do you want equal representation from every state? Something like that. Like, do you want equal representation from every industry or every job role or every age type, or whether they have kids at home or they are in a certain age type? Make sure you know that. Second is keep the survey relevant. This is a part that a lot of people miss out on. What happens is, yeah, I mean, and I don't mean that people ask unnecessary questions per se, but there's a lot of unwanted, redundant questions. Like, for example, hey, would you join us at Question Pro X Day? The answer is yes, right? Now, an unnecessary question would be, what are you looking forward to in the X Day 2021 that's going to happen, right? That's necessary. What's unnecessary is, if I'm going to give you a gift card to join it, would you join it? That's not going to help you. Actually, if you go to see, you're just trying to figure out whether you can bribe people to join.
Which, I mean, from a marketing perspective, you can bribe people for anything.
Yeah, exactly, right? So from a research perspective, like if the panel, like Tristan, you know this, you're putting XDay 2021 together, you want to know what the attendees want to hear. What is it that they're interested in? You don't want to know if you can bribe them to just do an attendance.
True. That's true. Because I kind of already know that.
Right, got it. So these are kind of like redundant questions that you don't want them to show up. And another thing is, the guy might, the person who's taking the response might get frustrated. Like, what are you trying to get at? Like, am I up for sale or something? So you don't want to do stuff like that. The next thing is, keep your demographic questions lined up in your survey. A lot of clients, a lot of researchers forget to do this. They know their targets are right. They know the panel is going to manage the demographic. What they forget to do is actually ask it in the survey, because you need it for analytics. You want to do slicing and you want to do dicing. Make sure it's there in your survey. So, like, to keep it really concise, these are my top 3 advices, right? Always make sure that these 3 things are taken care of when you're doing a survey to a certain community, and see what's relevant to that community always. Now, this is about audience and Question Pro. The rest of it, Question Pro will take care. We'll give you the number of completes. We will do the quota control for you. We will also do the quality check for you, right? We have all of these features built in. We do all of that proactively. And then the final data will be given to you. You can do the analysis for that. Now, the second part that Crystal said was the communities. Now, Question Pro communities or insights platform gives you the ability to create like a portal, like a platform, where you can onboard members who are niche to the group. Now, I'll give you an example, and this is actually a shout out to this community that I am currently a part of and really proud to be a part of. It's a customer success community, Gain, Grow, Retain, right? They have this community that they run where all the CSMs are a part of it, and we all pitch in our ideas, we all pitch in what works for us, what doesn't work. So as a community of customer success managers, we are educating new people to come and be a part of this job role, because this job role is fairly new. It's come up only very recently. Now, that's the community you can create in Question Pro. So like the portal, the communities platform. When you are doing a survey with them, the number 1 thumb rule is, do not waste their time. Your members will get really irritated if they get a survey and they get screened out of that, right? Even if you're reaching out to your own community, like let's say I wanted to do a survey for people who are frequent flyers with Delta, right? You want to make sure you send a survey that's relevant to the people who frequent fly on Delta. You cannot, like, you're a frequent flyer person, right? The last question that you want to be asked is, hey, do you fly frequently with us? That's not a question you want to answer, because, hey, you're in a community that is created for the frequent flyers by the frequent flyers of Delta Airlines, right? You don't want that question to come up over there. Another thing is a screen out. A screen out is when, let's say I'm a frequent flyer on Delta and I get a survey that is aimed for people who have flown on their economy section. But Delta already has my standing that I fly only business with them. So me getting an economy class or a survey meant for people who travel economy is a frustration for me. So always make sure you have that filtering aspect right if you're doing it within a portal that's managed by you.
Gotcha. So there's lots of ways to create good communities, but make sure you're sending them smart surveys. You're sending them things that they actually want to respond to, and you're not just bribing them. Are my key takeaways.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you need more than that, sign up with Question Pro. I'm going to probably be the implementation guide on that. We can talk about it.
Perfect. Well, now I think we have a good next question. So Tawanda asks, when using the show hide function for questions, how does this response show up in an Excel data export?
Awesome. All right. First of all, is Twanda joining us today? She's
Yes,
an
she's
amazing
here.
person. I need to tell you
She's the
that.
best.
I worked with Twanda years ago. I don't know if she remembers me still. But it was an amazing time working with her. Twanda, welcome to the office. I'm so thrilled to have you here. And she also asks us the best questions, by the way. She's asked me questions so many times in the past when I used to actually handle her account, where I would be stumped and I'd be like, let me go talk to someone and get back to you. This is something I've not thought about before. But all right, so I'll get to the question. Twanda, I think your question is about if you hide a certain question or if you show a certain question, will it show up on the Excel data report or will it not show up on the Excel data report, right? Now, understand one thing. It's a question, and for that matter, it's an option. Logic is only
where
about...
it's at in the
Yeah.
admin functionality?
Absolutely.
Office hours may or may not be single-handedly how I passed my research certification. Because I learned so many.
We know.
For everyone, a little sneak peek for the future. Question Pro is releasing like a Question Pro certification where you'll be certified in the platform and, just being able to say that how certain market research functionalities work. And everyone at Question Pro is getting certified, and office hours may or may not have taught me half the things.
You see, that's good to hear.
I know. I'm so excited. Okay, so back to extraction logic or Excel data extraction and downloading.
All right, perfect. So I brought my screen up. You should be seeing a survey that I was trying to create based on the questions, but I realized I couldn't create the survey because the questions were just very open-ended. But all right, so the one that Wanda is asking about is if I add a question, any of these questions, and I go into the logic, and I apply either of these two, like the show and hide question or the show and hide option, what happens to my data when I do an Excel export? Now, the Excel export that she's referring to, and I'm assuming over here, Tonda, you can correct us if I'm wrong, is the export on the raw data analytics, right? Now, the analytical data or the raw data download at any given point of time will give you all the questions that you have in the survey. Now, the difference is, and I understand the confusion, is if I set up a logic of either showing or hiding that question when a survey responder is taking, maybe when I download that person's data, that question might just not show up. And that's true. If you go into like an individual response that's come in and you try to download it for that particular respondent, that single respondent, that question that is not shown to them is not going to be there in their repository. So this is what a single response looks like. And I can download it into an Excel, but I'll only see the question that was displayed to me and that I answered. I'm not going to see the rest. But when I'm doing a download from export raw data, this is all of the questions that are in the survey, which means multiple people could have seen multiple versions of it. Now, all of your questions, and if that person has responded, the response will show up in the Excel file. So show and hide logic is not going to have any direct impact on your data downloads.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's rest assured, your data will definitely come up.
Okay. Cool. And then second, is there a good way to remove response options based on the answer to a previous question?
Based on, absolutely. So that's, okay, good question. I told you Twanda is like the best question. You see how I get stumped for a minute? I'm like, okay. Okay, so what Wanda is talking about is, okay, I don't have it set optimally, but I'll just add this one block. So let's say, I'm going to add like a gender question because that's what I can think of right now. is male, female, right? And I'm going to be asking like a secondary question about whether you have, I'm trying to be a little, do you use epilator, I think? No, or do you wax? Let's do that, right? You want to ask a question, do you wax? I know today it's kind of applicable to guys as well as women, but let's assume that we're talking to Neanderthal men who don't do any of this manscaping kind of, they're not into all of that, right? So what Twanda is asking is, can I have a question that is based on the response that's given in another question's answer? So for gender, if I say female, I should be getting up a survey that asks me about the last time I did my nails, for example. And if a guy answers it, it should be asking me the last time I shaved, possibly, right?
Right.
It's possible. There are multiple ways you can do it. The easiest is use the show and hide options logic. I'm not sure it's going to come up on this. It's going to come up on this. Use the show and hide options logic. That's something that will always work, because I know Fonda, you're talking about options to options. So if I answer a certain amount of options, the next question should have an X amount of options that come up. Always use the show and hide options format only, because I find it much more flexible. I find it gives you a lot of control on the criterias that you create. And the best part is you can actually have multiple criterias that will decide whether a certain option comes up or it doesn't come up. So that's going to be my recommendation.
Cool. Tawanda, does that answer your questions? Yes. Great.
I hope so.
Perfect. Perfect.
I'm telling you, Crystal, if you can bribe Twanda to get you questions for office hours, you should.
I don't have to bribe her. She just gives them to me.
She came up with like 2 questions. Just imagine if she takes her time and then finds you questions. Dude, I'm telling you, none of us will be able to be here.
I was like, I have enough questions about the platform myself. You know, between the two of us, we could fund office hours with questions for days. Okay. What else do we got? Oh, you said not to. Okay. Adrian, is there a underrated functionality in Question Pro that you think all of our users from Essentials to Advanced or to, Research Edition would be able to find useful that they don't use very much?
Underused.
Underrated.
Underrated. Oh, the extraction logic. Definitely the extraction logic.
Okay. Can you show us a little bit about extraction logic?
Absolutely. And it kind of goes to a kind of a partial answer to what Twanda asked us as well, right? The extraction logic, according to me, is the most underrated logic that's never been used by a lot of people because they just don't understand how it works. Now, extraction logic, it works. Now, there are several ways, right? And I'm going to try to be as brief as I can because I get really excited about this one. Yeah, I mean, look at the number of choices that you have just for it to work, right? What extraction does is it creates a copy of the question that is being asked into another question that will be asked after you've answered this question. Now, how does that copy come up? Now, look at how many things it does. It's creating a question for you. It's adding all of the text for you. It's adding the options for you. Everything is being done. The logic is even added. Or the only thing you need to decide is how does the question come up? Or when does the question come up? Does it come up when a certain number of options are chosen? Or does it come up for a certain number of options that are not chosen? Does it come up when a certain option is not displayed? Or do I just show it in general for all of my questions? That's extraction logic. And the best part about it is the extracted question. So your original question is your source question, and the extracted question is a question that is created by the system when you use this logic. So the extracted question doesn't have to be identical to your source question. It can be a multi-select, it can be a single select, it can be an open-ended text box, it can be a drag and drop, it can be matrix, slider, you name it, it can be that. That's according to me like an all-rounder of your logic. You only need to know what you're doing. That's it.
Cool. Okay, Steven has a question. In the Q&A, can the data collected on surveys be extracted automatically and scheduled to be sent out via email? So once the survey's ended, can the report be automatically scheduled?
Absolutely. There is I'm pretty sure there's a license catch to it at this point. I cannot get it on the top of my head.
Okay, but above essentials then.
Yeah, it's above essentials.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely above essentials. All right. And there's a hidden feature to it. And a lot of people don't know it. I'm going to show them. So let's do this. So Stephen, for you to get your data automatically moved out of question pro, or rather a copy of it sent either to email or an FTP server or to a distribution group, you can do it. What you need to do is go into analytics. And the best part is you don't have to wait for the survey to complete. You can create it and you can keep it. It can be like an automated scheduler that runs at a certain interval, or you can go and create it like a one time and it'll do it one time, whatever you want, right?
Okay.
Right. So what you need to do is to get into analytics, get into your last managed data drop down and go into scheduler. If your license doesn't permit it, you'll get a lock over here. You can come talk to us and we'll tell you what it would be for you to get that license, get that feature available. So once you're here, you need to click on auto scheduler. Now you get a list. It's a setting. It's a one-time setting that you need to do. It's not something you need to come and update or rerun, any of that sorts. Number one is give it a report name. Remember one thing when you do it, this report or this scheduled report is specific to the survey that you create. You're not going to see it in another survey. So you have to remember that. Give it a name that you understand, that you can relate to, so you know what the report is. What should the report have? Do you want the raw data, analytics, the trend? You want it in SPSS, PowerPoint, CSV, name it, we have it. Click on any one of those. So the system knows what type of data you're looking at. Now, what's new in this, it wasn't there a year back, is rearranging columns. If you click here, you get all of the columns listed out that will be in your Excel, and you can reorder them the way you want it. Now, if you have like where is this useful for? If you would ask me, it's if you have a preset format in your organization or your tool that you're trying to upload this document in, this really helps you to get it going, right? After that, these are your regular kind of download settings, whether you want open-ended data, you want the geocode information, do you want values, or do you want codes or index numbers, all of those settings in this dropdown, whether you want to display the question codes or not, do you want to filter based on completed responses or not, do you want to set a time filter for when you want the data. So you want to have only data that is extracted in May, you'll have your start and your end date updated according to that. And only that relevant.
So if you had a survey going for, let's say you have like a survey running continually, you could say, oh, I could schedule a report that only sent me survey data from a specific month of that continually running survey.
If it's a continually running survey and you want continuous downloaded reports, instead of putting it in the data filter here, you put it in the report frequency. So there are two things here. The first filter that you're looking at is a cutoff. It's like a hard cutoff. If you have a survey that's been running for years, you put the year as like, and it happens. I mean, I know it sounds funny, but we have a lot of people who've been running surveys that have not stopped since 2014 is the earliest that I can remember of a survey.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And the amount of data is enormous on that. But besides the point, so the start and the end date, these are your absolute filtered start and end date, which means your report cannot exceed this, even if the data window is passed. So what I'm saying is, let's say this report is only for the year 2021, your start date is going to be Jan 2021, and your end date is going to be the 31st of December 2021, which means the data will always be within that. Now, because you're scheduling a report, there might or might not be frequency attached to it. And that's what you said, Crystal, right? So The part that you said comes under frequency. You can decide whether you want a monthly report, a weekly report, or a daily report. And what should the window of that report be? Which day do you want the report to be generated? So if I say monthly, you can choose any day of the month and the report will get generated. If you say daily, then you have a time and then it gets generated according to that. And if you have weekly, which day of the week do you want the report to be generated and sent to you, along with the time, of course, which is right down. When you do something like this, there's always a data window. When you're doing daily reports, you want it for if you're doing a monthly report, you usually want data from the previous month. That's where your data window comes into picture, which is right here. Now, what the data window does is it stops you from getting redundant data. So if I'm collecting information on a monthly basis for the year 2021, my Jan report is going to have Jan data in it. My Feb report, if I've not set a window, is going to have Jan and Feb data in it, which I don't want, right? I want a Jan.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the data window does. It allows you to set a window for when your data is collected based on the last report that was sent.
Gotcha.
Right. It gets complicated a little, but it kind of makes sense based on the use case that you're trying to run. This is what I tell myself, at least. Right.
And then what are the delivery options? Perfect.
You have an email delivery to either yourself, people who are using Question Pro and are affiliated to Question Pro in your account, number one. And number two is an FTP upload, right? Number three, this is a hidden thing which not a lot of people know about, is you can actually create a group of email addresses that don't have a Question Pro account, and an email can go out to them along with the attachment of the report.
Okay, that's awesome.
Right. Now, the tricky part, the first two parts are simple. Email report, you add in, you choose who do you want. Now, these are all of the sub accounts that are attached to me being the main user of the account. So this is the first where you get the email report, add the subject, add the message, and the attachment is going to be the report. The second one is the FTP uploader. So you put in your details. All of the help parameters are always in question marks around the features that you're looking at. So people do not miss out on that. You can use you need to update all of this information. By default, we promote using SFTP. It's much more secure. It's what a lot of people use today. So you can have that, put in your password, username, and run it. It'll run. So you have a test run. Once you put all of these information, it runs. And then on your set date, the FTP scheduler will run on its own. The third option that I was talking about is notification group. Now, I have 2 notification groups. That's the reason why they're popping up. If you don't have notification groups created already, they're not going to be seen. Now,
okay.
The general question is, where do I create these? Where is this notification group, and how global is it? Notification groups are global. You can use it in any survey in your account, no problem. Even on a shared survey, which is shared with you. As long as it's what you're doing, you can see that notification group everywhere. So you don't have to worry about it.
But if you haven't set up a notification group, they don't come, it won't appear down here.
That's right. It won't appear down here. It'll just be a blank kind of a drop down that nothing can happen, right? So always make sure you create your notification group before you come in and you save your settings here.
Okay.
Awesome. So I'm going to show you how to create a notification group, but I hope, Stephen, this answers your question about the auto schedule.
It did. He said it is exactly what he was looking for. So just to recap really quickly, you went to analytics.
Absolutely. Then we use the last drop down that usually will say manage data, go to scheduler. Once you're here, create the button, use the little blue question mark to understand what the terms are inside, but I think you should be good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And now you're going to show us how to create notification groups. I just love how one question leads into another question. And like you said, there's sometimes hidden gems that a lot of times people don't know are inside the Question Pro platform.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people in Question Pro also don't know about this. I think I might say that.
So this is an education for all of us.
Totally. Everyone, call them all, let them join. Okay, so to create a notification group, you can be any survey, it doesn't matter. Go into the settings, which is under edit, and go into notifications. Right at the bottom, you see something that's called the notification group. it doesn't serve any purpose just standing over there, but now that you see what it does, it should help you understand. Now, what you need to do is click on the new notification group, and you can give it a name and set it to active. Now, what do you mean by active and inactive? Let's say you have a notification group that is receiving some automated emails from some scheduler you set up way back in time, but now you don't remember where the scheduler is, where is the survey, you don't remember any of it. So what you do is come here and just make that group inactive. They'll stop receiving emails. That's it. That's like the easiest thing, right?
Okay.
That's the active and the inactive. Once you've created a group, it gets added down here, and you can just keep on adding emails. Now, for example, in my group, I have my email address and I have Crystal, but Crystal is not a part of my account. Okay. So I can give her access. Plus, I can do anything. I can put anyone who doesn't have a Question Pro account in here.
Oh, okay. So even if I don't have a Question Pro account, you can still send me email updates.
Absolutely. Here you go. You need to enter it by yourself. So.
Okay, perfect. And then how many? And then, so we're in a test group. Cool. I love that. But you have to make sure you don't forget the names of the groups too.
Yeah.
Or who's in it. We have a couple of questions that came in on YouTube. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. Is there a role-based access report delivery option?
Wait, you'll have to repeat that.
Oh, sorry. I was like trying to read it. Okay. Is there a way to add role-based delivery to reports? So let's say
delivery. No. Yeah, no. I'm sorry, that was like a quick answer. But so when
I feel confused by that, because that was one of our guys that asked that question.
No wonder. I'm like, it's not possible. Like, how can I was like, can I get this person's number? I need to talk to this person. How does this person know so much? But okay, so role-based, and for the rest of the people listening in, when we get asked role-based, what we're talking about is an organization setup. So the main account will usually have you assigned in various teams with various roles. Now, the question that's being asked is, can I do a role-based distribution? So a certain person, there are two things that I've understood, and you're right about the confusion is just setting in. The first answer to which is no is based on the role that is being created. Can you send out a survey to that person or not? The answer is no, you cannot do that. The other way to it is, can I assign distribution sending functionalities to a certain role? The answer to that is yes. Whoever is the main administrator of the account, the Question Pro account, has access to roles where they can create a role for distribution purpose only. So that person will be able to share surveys, but the only thing they can do is distribute surveys or send surveys out.
Okay. I got you.
I hope it's one of those two that was asked.
Sounds good. What's another one? We have about 12 minutes left. This is a good one. Is there a way I can set the date format in a calendar question? Yes. Oh, we're going to do some basics too. We have a star rating question too.
Oh, we do? Okay. All right. So yes, you can do it. Yay, plans, but I'll come in here. So what you do is you add in your calendar question. To add in your calendar question, click on add a question. It's in your basic, go to your calendar right here and you get it added, right? Once it is added, click on the settings that you can see on your right. You get a big variety of kind of settings that you can play with for this particular question. And one of those is setting the date format in the way you want it. And this is how it's going to appear to your respondent. One good thing about the format is your respondent is not expected to have the backslashes or the hyphens in place. They can just start typing in the date And all of the nomenclature, if you will, or the parentheses will appear on their own. So the comma, the backslash, they will come up on their own. They don't need to worry about it. You get an age range set up. You get to default it to today's date. You get all kinds of settings when it comes to calendar, right? And I'll show you a preview of that. Now, what is a calendar question? Is you actually get a calendar to answer your question, your response.
Okay.
And if you see, it's defaulted to today's date.
What day is what day is X day, Adrian?
I am gonna take a guess and say it's the 11th.
Good job. Also, no hyphen.
All right.
I love that.
Okay.
Okay, we have another general question about if you could give us your best practices for survey distribution, what are your top 3 tips and tricks?
All right, so survey distribution, the tips and tricks will differ based on whether the people you're reaching out are regular survey receivers from you or not. But I'll just give you the general kind of list down. Now, this is mostly when it comes to distribution, the guide is to keep you safe more than anything else, because distribution kind of comes on a global kind of policy check with can spam and with spamming and phishing. You want to make sure that your identity is not hampered because of that, right? So step number 1, when it comes to distribution, this is before the distribution happens, right? Make sure that the people who are receiving the survey from you have received prior communication about a survey coming their way from a certain email address. So, and I'll tell you this is something I've done. I've actually done this in the last week. I am in the middle of hiring people to join my team. That's not a plug. I'm just letting you all know. So what I did was I first sent out an email to all of the applicants who sent in the resume, informing them that, hey, listen, in the next step, you are going to be getting a survey that should be coming from XYZ email address. The aim of the survey is so-and-so. And if you have issues, you can write to so-and-so email. If you don't want to receive the email, you hit unsubscribe, and we won't reach out to you again, right? That's like a communication email you send out. Now, what's the purpose of that? It's number 1 is to tell that person that an email is coming their way, which is crucial and they need to take it. So that's a survey, which means it's going to have a link. You help them identify it. In case your email lands in the spam box, just because you've already informed them, they know what they're looking out for. So they won't treat your email as abuse or as spam or any of that, any of those kind of emails, right?
Right.
So that's number 2. That's the reason why you're doing it. And third is, it boosts participation. People really look forward to what's coming up, especially if you make the first email spicy. If you want to know what to make spicy, yeah. If you want to know how to make your email spicy, reach out to Kristen.
That's true.
Yeah, she does that. She does it. So for a lot of my communications as well. But anyway, so you can that's what you do before distribution. In distribution, in Question Pro, I would say if you have a huge list, like 30K, 40K people going to be receiving surveys, break it down into lists of 5,000 because it becomes easy for you to manage everything, your reminders, your participant rate. You also, if you use a bit of logic, if you will, and you can actually see which list is doing better than the other list, right? It helps you zero in on, let's say the next time you want to do your survey, you know you need to reach out to list number 5 because they gave you the highest number of responses.
Right. And can you show us in the distribution area where those lists would be?
Right. I was sharing my screen. I was paused and I was actually walking through the whole thing.
Oh no! Man, maybe we had a little Zoom hiccup because my video stopped sharing too.
Oh, I think maybe at the same time this happened. Guys, everyone on the call, you need to start saying, like, oh, I can't see Kristen and I can't see Adrian's screen. It's frozen. We'll know.
You gotta let us know, people.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are. This is like the list. You go on creating your new list. Now it's mostly going to be a replica, right? You go into the list and you add in all of your information. So it's not going to be a huge task for you, but it really helps when you keep like that list small and concise and and compile, it really helps you for future. Now, the next thing that you need to keep, now this is when you are again sending out the survey to your respondents. And I'll show you a template. This is a real template because this is my account. This is a template I used when I was sending a survey to my applicants on what they should be expecting. Now, number one is always let your respondents know how much time or tentatively how much time it is going to take for them to complete it. If your survey is about a mindset, like right now, I'm seeing a lot of people do surveys about what's your mindset during COVID? How has COVID treated you? What happened to COVID, 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 COVID? So you can kind of put that context in your email and say, you know what, this survey is to understand your approach to post-COVID circumstances. So now when I'm taking the survey, I already have my mindset made up. So always put that in. Tell them what you expect in the survey. Like I've told my applicants, hey, just be honest and candid, and you do not need to prepare. This is not the SATs. It's just a regular survey. You let them know what are the restrictions. This is so that you don't get frustrated emails, so that you don't get panicked people reaching out for help. Make sure you tell them it's a single attempt only, take it in one go. It's best that you take it in one go, things like that. Make sure that language is there.
Right.
If you're going to close your survey, make sure you tell them when you're going to be closing your survey. Again, you will not get emails from people after the closure because they know that it's closed, right?
Right.
The last part is tell people if they do not want to respond to the survey, it's all right. They can unsubscribe by clicking on a link that's below. Or if they're having problems, where can they reach out? Do they reply to your email or they reach out to a certain email address? Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure you get as many responses. Someone who's really, really keen to give you a response, it's not a good thing to lose that. So make sure they know who to reach out to. And if they reach out to a wrong resource and that resource doesn't help them out, they won't take your service. So think about that, right? Make sure you have this. And the reason why it helps you a lot is sometimes if your respondent doesn't identify or doesn't know where the survey is coming from, they will mark your email as spam. That's very, very bad for your email address, for your domain, if you're using your organization's email address, for your organization at large. None of us want that. And it's very bad for Question Pro as well. I mean, our mail servers are being used, so it's very bad for us as well. So it's better that you get unsubscribed than get spam, is what I say. So make sure you always have that in your distribution upfront. That's about it. And once it's out, keep a regular reminder cycle. Don't go out and remind your people on Tuesday for 1 week and then Friday the next week. No, Tuesday means Tuesday, Thursday means Thursday. Just keep that fixed.
I gotcha. Okay, so Kate asked the question, why don't comments export with the question? They export in raw data, but not under the individual question. So
they export in raw data, but not under individual question.
So Kate, are you saying that the comments section of a question?
I think it has something to do with the, I love that you're trying to make that up. But
I'm trying my best.
No, I think
no, she said correct. I was right.
But what feature are you talking about, Crystal?
I'm asking Kate.
Okay.
Kate, you want to chat with us on the chat window, and we can try and solve your question. Comments are exporting. So why don't you just walk us through exporting certain comments?
That's all. So when anyone says comments, the only thing that I can think about is this feature that we have, which is called the dynamic comment box. So dynamic comment or text boxes rather here can be enabled for your options. It's like a separate box that comes up and then you get a response that comes up along with it. Now, this should come up on individual responses and on the raw data as well. Like we don't hide that response. It's always there. We cannot pipe in dynamic comment box because it's dynamic. There's no way for us to store it, but it should come up on every result base.
Okay. Kate will, I will grab your email from the email registration that you registered for the webinar for, and we will send you a follow-up just to make sure we understand your struggle.
I think I understood like 2 minutes ago, Kate said correct. So I think it is the dynamic comment box, but yeah, I think we'll take down the email address and then we can reach out to Kate in case there's a problem that she's facing that's specific, so we can help solve it.
Perfect. And then Steven asked another question. Are you able to create a report on your own, or do you have the ability to edit the existing data extracts? Are we able to create a report on our own, or do we have the ability to edit the existing data extracts?
Data extracts.
He's going to follow up. Please hold. So, guys, this has been one of our most engaging sessions. I really appreciate all the commentary. It actually helps make these way more fun and valuable. It's not just about, for us, it's not just about attendees who are coming, but it's also about making sure we're engaging with our customers. And, this helps me from a marketing perspective, making sure that we're using the right terminology when we're, advertising or promoting our features, so that we're using the same terminology as you guys. Raw data being exported comes over in a CSV, but it includes report headers.
So, Stephen, do you want to remove? I only need the column header and the data. Oh, got it. So, Stephen, yeah, okay, I think I understand what you need right now. Is all of that extra information that we pass, that's all system default. There's no way to remove like the survey ID or what the filtering criteria were or what the statistics was. There's a reason why we do it, is because your report has generic names. And we know when you download it, you get to rename them. But it has happened in the past that people have downloaded multiple reports and not realize, and it's just confusing to know which report belongs to what survey or what setting. That's the reason why we pass that additional information. But that being said, you can still control the headers or the kind of headers you want when you're downloading the report. All you need to do is, when you are under analytics and you are under responses, just make sure you hide or you show the columns that are relevant to what you want to see. These are the headers that are relevant to you. And then you click the XSL, that will download the headers or the columns exactly the way you want them.
Awesome. Great.
Awesome.
Okay. We have just enough time for one last question. And is there a way to send reminders to individuals who may not have even started the survey yet? So the reminder is targeting the individuals who haven't started it versus those who have.
Yeah, so when you do, okay, so Twanda, I think it's a yes and a no kind of a question. Yes, you can send reminders to people who have not potentially started the survey at all. Reminder has like that inbuilt functionality. All pending respondents are gonna get a reminder, but can you isolate that and only send reminders to those who have not attempted any part of the survey? No, it will go out to everyone who has not completed the survey. Crystal's expression says you are confused. So
okay, hold on. Let me see if I can. This is half the battle, is like making sure that I can repeat it back in a layman's terms. So this is how I learn things. If you send it out to remind, you're going to send it out to remind everyone to start the survey or finish the survey, whether they've started it or not.
Correct.
But you can also individualize people who have started it and not finished it, but not the other way around. So if
No,
you started the survey, you get a reminder to finish
yes,
it. But if you
correct.
haven't started it, you
You get a reminder to start.
but so do the people who have already started it.
Correct, correct.
Okay. So it's like one and okay, I understand.
It's like either everyone gets it or no one gets it.
Right. Sorry, Tawanda, if you were trying to be extra targeted, but good question. Oh, does that mean that people have completed the survey get the reminder?
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
They won't get
they won't get the reminder if they've completed the survey.
No, I mean, we look stupid if we send them a reminder.
Right. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks so much for all your questions, guys. I really appreciate you joining us and just spending an hour. Wow, an hour already. I can't believe it.
1 hour?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Isn't
And I'm
that
like,
cool?
yeah, I'm like, you're saying 12 minutes. I'm like, 12 minutes for what? It's been only 12 minutes since we started. I'm like, oh, damn.
Nope, it's time for us to go. And everybody, will be sending out the YouTube link afterwards. It's obviously going to be living live on YouTube forever and ever. And Kate will be following up with you through email. So keep an eye out for that. And if you have not registered for Question Pro X Day, we have put the link in the chat. So please join us for Question Pro X Day. Adrian, is that the website right there in the tab?
It is.
Will you click on it?
It is. Did you see that?
Perfect.
I was like going to talk about it. Guys, X Day 2021. If you've missed 2020, you cannot miss 2021. It's unique. We have a lot of good speakers. I'm really excited about this one particular speaker that's coming up. And Crystal, you're muted. I can't hear what you're saying, but okay. So
I'm not muted. I just wasn't talking.
Okay. So we have a lot of people coming up. I'll keep scrolling as I'm talking. There's a representative, a panelist, a speaker from Amazon, from NBA, from Kellogg. I'm really excited about our panelist coming in from Kellogg. I speak to her almost on a weekly basis. She's amazing. And she's really good at her job. I'll tell you that she is the best at her job. I mean, amazing. Tough situations. If you have tough questions, make sure you come. She'll give you directions. It's really good. And we're gonna have Vivek talk. We have Andrea coming from Aeon.
I know we have two PhD doctors talking.
Yeah, look at that.
Panel.
There you go. 2 PhDs. Both of them are amazing speakers. You have to listen to Sania talk. I know I do.
I know it's going to be a really fun day. We're giving away a lot of prizes. It's going to be all about advancing experiences, even for researchers. And so please join us. And thanks for the plug, Adrian. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Please do register for free. It's for free. When you're registering the survey asks you, or the registration form asks you, where did you hear it? Say Adrian Mendes.
Sounds good. I see what you did there. Long play. I appreciate Adrian, you joining us so much. And if guys, keep an eye out. We will be doing office hours next month on the 24th, and we will have Kartik Bot joining us for that session. So make sure you bring your toughest questions. Thanks so much, everyone. We appreciate your time. Have an awesome day. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.